My daughter came home smiling, not the kind of smile that means she's happy, the kind that means she's trying really hard to pretend something isn't bothering her. She walked through the door, set her bag down, and said it like it was nothing. Grandma and Aunt Rachel went to the movies. They said I'd be a distraction, so I stayed in the car. Then she shrugged and started taking off her shoes. I didn't say a word. I just watched her face for a second, because that smile told me everything her words were trying to hide. Kids don't smile like that when something is actually fine. They smile like that when they've already decided to protect you from something they think will upset you. She was 9 years old, and she was already protecting me. I grabbed my coat and my keys. She looked up from the floor. Are we going somewhere? Yes. She didn't ask anything else. She just followed me back to the car. The drive to my mother's house took 15 minutes. I know that road well. I've driven it hundreds of times over the past several years, usually to drop Lily off before my shifts at the hospital, usually feeling grateful that I had somewhere safe to leave her. That word kept repeating in my head the whole drive. Safe. I had left Lily there that morning because my schedule changed at the last minute and the daycare was closed. My parents had watched her dozens of times. My sister Rachel lived with them too. It had always felt like the most natural arrangement in the world. I trusted them completely. And for years, I had also helped them financially whenever things got difficult. When my dad lost his job, I quietly started covering part of the mortgage. When Rachel said she couldn't make her car payment, I took care of it. Groceries, utilities, small repairs around the house. I never made a big deal about it because they were family, and that's what family does. My mother used to hug me at the door and say, "We don't know what we'd do without you." She hugged Lily and told me not to worry. Go to work, we'll have a fun day. I believed her. When I pulled into the driveway 15 minutes later, I told Lily to stay in the car. I walked to the front door and didn't knock. I just opened it and stepped inside. The television was on. My mother and Rachel were sitting on the couch, surrounded by takeout containers, looking like they were having a completely peaceful evening. Rachel looked up first. "You're back early." I looked at both of them. "Where was Lily while you two were at the theatre?" My mother blinked like the question confused her, like it didn't make immediate sense why I might be asking it. Then she said something that made the entire room feel smaller. "Relax, she was fine. She had the car." For a second, I genuinely thought I had misheard her. "You left my 9-year-old daughter alone in a parking lot." Rachel rolled her eyes. Actual, full eye roll. It was 2 hours. She had my phone to play games on. "You're being dramatic." I walked to the coffee table. I picked up the TV remote and turned the movie off. Then I picked up every takeout container on the table and dropped them, one by one, straight into the trash. Rachel shot up off the couch. "What are you doing?" I looked at both of them calmly. I'm about to fix a mistake I've been making for years. Neither of them understood what I meant yet, but they were about to. Rachel stared at the trash can like I'd committed some kind of offense. My mother crossed her arms and tilted her head. "Maria, you're overreacting." She was perfectly safe. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I let those 2 words sit there for a moment. I looked at both of them, and I realized something that actually made the whole situation worse. There was no guilt anywhere on either of their faces, not even a flicker of it. No discomfort, no recognition that anything had gone wrong. "Did you at least check on her while you were inside the theatre?" Rachel laughed, not a nervous laugh, a genuinely unbothered one. "How would we do that? We were watching the movie. So for 2 full hours, my daughter sat completely alone in a car in a random parking lot while you watched a film. It was daytime. Stop acting like we left her in the woods somewhere." I walked back outside to the car. Lily looked up when she saw me coming. "Are we going home?" "In a minute." I helped her out of the car and walked her inside. The moment we stepped through the door, Rachel looked at her and said, almost cheerfully, "See? She's fine." Lily stood quietly next to me. She looked at the floor. I crouched down beside her. "How long were you in the car?" She thought about it for a second. "I don't know. A long time." "Did anyone come check on you?" She shook her head. "Did you try to go inside?" Her answer came quickly, like she'd already thought about this part. "Grandma said not to. She said the people at the theater would get mad if kids were running around inside." I stood up slowly. Rachel looked annoyed. "Now you're interrogating her like we committed a crime." I walked to the kitchen counter and found the small notepad my mother kept beside the phone. I wrote 3 things on it: mortgage payment, car payment, grocery account. My mother frowned at the paper. "What is that?" I slid it across the counter toward them. "Those are the things I've been covering for you." Rachel picked it up and laughed. "Okay, and starting today, I'm not paying for any of it anymore." They both stared at me. My mother shook her head. "Maria, don't be childish." Rachel leaned back against the couch cushions. "You wouldn't actually do that." I looked at Lily standing quietly by the door, swinging her feet a little, looking at the floor. Then I looked back at them. I already did. The mortgage payment was due the next morning, and for the first time in years, I had already decided not to send it. That was the moment my mother stood up, because unlike Rachel, she understood the math. She knew exactly what those numbers meant. She knew they couldn't keep that house without my help. She looked at the piece of paper on the counter like it had transformed into something threatening. "Maria, stop this nonsense right now." Rachel still hadn't quite caught up. She was holding the paper, looking at the numbers again. "You're bluffing." I shook my head. My mother stepped closer. "You can't just cut us off over something this small, something small." I turned and looked at Lily again, sitting in the chair by the door, swinging her feet, watching the floor. "You left a 9-year-old alone in a parking lot for 2 hours. My mother sighed and rubbed the bridge of her nose. She had a phone. The doors were locked. She was perfectly safe. I looked at them both steadily. "You don't even hear yourselves." Then I pulled out my phone and opened something I hadn't shown them yet. "Actually," I said, "you put her in danger, and I can prove it." I turned the screen towards them. It was a photograph, not taken by me, taken by a complete stranger. The picture showed a small silver car in a theater parking lot, and inside the car, visible through the window, was Lily, curled up in the passenger seat with a blanket around her shoulders. Rachel leaned forward slowly. "Where did you get that?" "Facebook post. Local community group." I scrolled down and showed them the caption. Someone had written, "Does anyone know whose child this is? She's been sitting alone in this car for a very long time." I knocked on the window, and she told me her grandma asked her to wait inside. "Does anyone recognize this car?" My mother sat down. Rachel's voice dropped several levels. "Wait, how did you even see that?" "Because the woman who posted it works with me at the hospital. She sent it to me an hour ago, asking if the car looked familiar." Neither of them said a word. Do you understand what would have happened if someone else had seen that post first? Police would have shown up, or worse, someone with bad intentions could have noticed a small girl sitting alone in a locked car for 2 hours with no adult anywhere nearby. Rachel opened her mouth, but nothing. "Don't." She closed it. "The reason nothing happened is because a stranger decided to stay." I turned the phone around and showed them the last message from the woman who posted it. I stayed nearby because she looked scared. I was about to call the police. My mother covered her mouth, and then, from the chair behind me, Lily said something quietly. something none of us were prepared for. The lady came 3 times. The room went completely still. My mother turned toward her slowly. 3 times? Lily nodded. She asked if I was okay. She said she could call someone for me. Rachel shifted uncomfortably on the couch. And what did you say? Grandma said to stay in the car. So I told the lady my grandma would be back soon. My mom looked at me. Maria, we didn't know someone was bothering her, helping her, not bothering her. Lily kept talking, still looking at the floor, her voice quiet and even. The lady waited near the benches. I could see her from the window the whole time. Rachel frowned. Why would she do that? I looked at my sister for a long moment, because she thought a child had been abandoned. My mother finally stood again. We didn't think it was a big deal. That sentence landed differently than anything else she'd said. Exactly, I said. You didn't think. I pulled out my phone one more time, opened my banking app, laid it flat on the table in front of them. The screen showed every transfer I had made over the past several years. Mortgage support, Rachel's car payment, family groceries, utility assistance. Month after month after month. Rachel stared at the screen without speaking. I scrolled to the most recent payment, showed them the date, then I opened the scheduled transfer for the following morning, and I cancelled it. Right there in front of them. The free ride is over. My mother's voice cracked slightly. You can't punish us like this. Punish you. I looked toward Lily. You left my daughter alone in a parking lot while you sat in a dark theater eating popcorn. I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting her. Rachel shook her head. You're choosing money over family. No, I picked up my keys. I'm choosing my daughter over people who treat her like an inconvenience. Lily stood up from the chair the moment she saw me move toward the door. She didn't need to be asked twice. My mother followed us both. Maria, wait, please. I opened the front door. The night air was cool and quiet. Then she said it. The thing she'd been holding back the entire conversation, the one card she had left to play. Maria, if you stop helping us, we lose the house next month. I turned around slowly, because that was the first completely honest thing anyone had said all night. 4 years earlier, that sentence would have worked on me instantly. I would have felt the guilt arrive before she even finished the word house. I would have started doing mental math on the drive home. I would have convinced myself that this was still fixable, that family always found a way through. But I looked through the car window at Lily, already buckled into her seat, hands folded in her lap, waiting patiently. And I remembered something I'd never let myself fully think about before. When my father lost his job 5 years ago, my mother called it temporary. Just a few months until things stabilize. A few months became a year became 2. Then Rachel needed the car payment covered, then the grocery delivery account, then the utilities, then small repairs. Always something, always urgent, always framed as family helping family. And every time I even hesitated, my mother said the same 4 words. Family helps family, Maria. I had believed her every single time. I walked a few steps back toward the doorway, where they were both still standing. I won't regret protecting my daughter. Rachel stepped forward. You're destroying this family over one misunderstanding. One misunderstanding, I repeated. I looked at her. Do you know what Lily told me on the drive here? Rachel didn't answer. She said she tried not to fall asleep in the car because she was afraid you would come back and drive away again if she didn't notice in time. My mother closed her eyes. Rachel looked away. Kids imagine things. Kids remember things. I took one last step toward them. And here's the part you still don't understand. I opened the Facebook post again, scrolled all the way to the bottom this time. turned the phone toward them. There were dozens of comments, people tagging the local police department, people asking if anyone had called Child Protective Services, people saying the adults responsible needed to be reported immediately. My mother's face went pale. Rachel whispered, "They didn't actually." "Not yet," I said. "They haven't reported anything yet." Rachel's eyes went wide. "You wouldn't." I put my phone back in my pocket. "That depends entirely on whether I ever hear my daughter describe something like this again." The silence stretched out between us, and then Rachel did something completely unexpected. She said something that stopped everything. "Wait." Her voice shifted. She looked genuinely confused. "What do you mean, again?" The word landed wrong, too casual, too familiar. The way she said it didn't sound like a mistake. It sounded like someone who had suddenly realized they'd said more than they meant to. My stomach dropped. I stared at her. "What did you just say?" She shook her head quickly. "Nothing. I just meant you're overreacting." "That's not what you meant," my mother cut in sharply. "Maria, you're twisting her words. I didn't argue. I didn't push further right there. I just turned around, walked back to the car, and got in." The drive home was quiet for a few minutes. Then I asked the question that had been pressing against my chest since the moment Rachel spoke. "Lily," she looked over, "has Grandma ever asked you to stay in the car before?" She didn't answer right away. That pause told me everything before the words did. Then she nodded, a couple of small nods. "Last month, when they went to the grocery store, and once when Aunt Rachel had to pick something up from a store." "How long?" She looked out the window. "Not long, maybe 30 minutes. Why didn't you tell me?" She shrugged. "Grandma said it's normal. She said kids wait in cars all the time." I kept driving. My hand stayed steady on the wheel, even though nothing inside me felt steady at all. When we got home, Lily went straight to her room to change into pajamas. I sat at the kitchen table with my phone face up in front of me and didn't move for a while. Then I opened the banking app, not just the transfers I'd cancelled at the house. Everything. The small monthly subscriptions, the grocery delivery account connected to my card, the insurance payment I'd been quietly covering for Rachel's car. One by one, I removed my name from all of it. Then I blocked both of their numbers. 10 minutes later, unknown calls started appearing on my screen. I let them go to voicemail. Shortly after, my email started filling up. "Maria, please call us. We need to talk about this. You're going too far. This isn't what family does. We raised you. We need you to think about what you're doing." I closed the app. From down the hall, I could hear Lily humming to herself while she sorted something on her desk. That soft, absent-minded sound she makes when she's completely relaxed and comfortable and safe. And sitting at that kitchen table, the decision felt very simple. My family was down that hallway, not in the house I'd been quietly funding for years. They tried reaching out several more times over the following weeks. Apologies arrived, some of them sounding genuine, some of them arriving conspicuously close to the dates when bills were due. They showed up at my apartment once. A few weeks after the bank sent the first mortgage warning letter, I answered the door. I listened. I didn't change anything, because by then I had already made one thing completely clear to myself. The financial support I had given for years was never the problem. Helping people you love isn't wrong. I don't regret a single payment I made when I believed it was going somewhere good. What I will never be able to excuse is this. They looked at my daughter and saw a complication, something to be managed, a small inconvenience to be parked somewhere out of sight so the real plans could move forward. She was 9 years old. She tried not to fall asleep in a car because she was afraid they would leave without noticing her. A stranger stayed nearby for 2 hours because she looked scared. That stranger did more for my daughter that afternoon than the people I had trusted most. Anyone who sees a child as a distraction doesn't get to be part of that child's life, not even if they're family, especially then.